Here. How's it going, everyone? This is Brad Williams with Over 40 Fitness Hacks. I have with me my new season co-star, Mr. David Grant. How's it going, David?
Good, man. Hello from Stuttgart, Germany.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for being on the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me, man. I think podcasts are pretty wild. It's cool how we can it's the cool side of globalization, right?
Absolutely. Well, so David, let's move on to our last topic. Talking about more your specialty in lower back pain. I know
Sure.
that comes to heart for myself, and I'm one of those guys too that I tried everything and ended up having lower back surgery, like one of the easiest ones to do. But I'm still,
Sure.
even to this day, I'm still suffering from it. And I know a lot of my clients, mostly my male clients, suffer more than females. But start picking your brain to see what your take is on lower back pain.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I think a lot of it comes from, I always say that when we sit down, our butt turns off. And when our butt turns off, the blood flow decreases. And when the blood flow decreases, as Kelly Starrett said, it turns into like a wet grilled cheese sandwich. Like the fascia just gets glued down. Mm-hmm. And the problem is if we look at, I like to take like traditional science and then put my own spin on it, because I just don't want to start making things up. But I'll use logic with traditional science, and then that creates my theory. Mm-hmm. And, anytime anyone has had like a bulging disc or sciatica or something within the lower back, one of the diagnoses, if you can say that, would be sacroiliac joint dysfunction, which is just a nice way of saying that the two little like knuckle things in your lower back, they're not moving correctly. And you're like, okay, fair enough. So now let's break that down into like the, anterior tilt and the posterior tilt. So like that exercise where you basically like you're humping the air. Mm-hmm. Most people can't do that. Most of the men I work with, when I ask them, can they truly isolate that movement? They look like that bird that used to drink water in physics class. Like they can't honestly isolate that hip movement. Well, traditional science, like physical therapy books, say that the way in which you truly isolate and move the sacroiliac joint is with those motions. So I would argue, okay, well, if somebody has a plethora of things going on, one of them is sacroiliac joint dysfunction, they're not able to do that movement. Well, before we start cutting anything open or off, why don't we teach them how to do that movement first and see if things get better? I mean, my mom needed a total knee, and I said, Mom, can you grab your left foot? She needed a total right knee. Left foot, can you grab it? Right foot? No, I can't. Well, why not? Because it's too tight. I'm like, well, okay, but we know through traditional science that we should have a certain degree of flexion, meaning bringing the heel to the butt, in order to not have pain. My mom's not able to do that. She has the same pain that the doctor says she needs a total knee for. Okay, fair enough. Let's give her a total knee, but she's bone on bone right now. She's just going to be like prosthetic on prosthetic if we don't fix the issue anyways. And so I was like, well, Mom, why don't we work on getting your range of motion back and see if that will at least decrease the pain? And then if not, maybe it's too late and get a new knee. Fair enough. Yeah. She got like 1 millimeter better. Knee pain went away. She went back to the doctor, said the knee didn't hurt. 1 decade later, she got the new knee.
Oh,
10 years later. And the only reason she got it was she didn't do anything. Her range of motion still sucked. The doctor said, yeah, it doesn't have anything to do with that. She got the new knee. Now she called me. It looks like she's going back into a surgery, arthroscopic, because her knee is terrible. She's grinding the new knee down, and they have to cut out the scar tissue. I mean, so I'm not Nostradamus. I'm just connecting logic.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so that's how I work with the lower back. Many of my clients do need surgery. Sometimes the bulge is too big. Sometimes it is pressing on the nerve. That's fine. But let's make sure, we can, and that's actually the problem. The example I use is, your kid comes home, and I don't even have a kid. So for the people that do, and they're like, you're bad at algebra. What does that mean? Algebra, in my opinion, I mean, I'm not good at math either. But in my opinion, algebra is made up of subtraction, addition, division, and multiplication, right? That's basically algebra. So to say you're bad at algebra, well, that's not going to help. Let's find out from those components, kind of like the 4 pillars, which one you're bad at. Yeah. And maybe all of them, maybe certain sections in each one of them, maybe, in the times tables at 9 and the division tables around 4s. Maybe there's just some weaknesses and they happen to show up often. Well, once we can then fine tune those categories or find out which one is your weakness, then magically your algebra becomes better. And I actually had that story with my ex-girlfriend's daughter. She was bad at algebra, and then I broke it down like that, and then we got her better. And the teacher was like, wow, that's so funny. I just didn't think you were good at math, but you've gotten so much better at algebra. And I was like, that's unbelievable. Yeah.
And what does that mean? You're not good at math. That's like algebra, trig, calculus, basic.
Counting
thing.
tips.
And then each one of those has their own.
Unbelievable. Yeah. And then, oh, well, I was wrong. You actually are not bad. Your algebra score's gotten so much better. And I was like, this is unbelievable. Like, she's 9 years old. What are we teaching her? And this is what I do with my clients is I just break it down to the basics. And when, we do address those 4 things, the 5th one being, like a tumor, bone cancer, or like torn something. Well, yeah, sure. If the thing is not getting better, of course I work with doctors and we send them. And the doctors I work with, I have on like Messenger, we speak with each other. And so they know that the client is in good hands. And if it's, the hip or the back or the knee, they're doctors. I don't need to tell them what to do. They know what tests they need to look for. And if everything gets ruled out and there's nothing wrong, there's no bone cancer, there's no tumor, there's no, torn whatever, well, then, okay, then the default should be healthy, happy, and strong. And let's work like that until we find it. And if we hit a wall, well, let's not give up, and I'm not going to send you to somebody else. Let's go back to the drawing board, find out what didn't work, pivot a little bit, and then move forward.
There you go. Yeah. How about in-person clients versus online clients? Is there a lot you can do for people like now with the COVID world, like all of us trainers are online now, and physical therapists too, but there's some stuff that you kind of have to be physically present with, and then some you can kind of go through Zoom. Is kind of lower back and other stuff you're working for, can that transpond to the online world? Yeah,
sure, completely. So I ended up creating a program with like 450 videos. I built out the modules. I did this all before COVID, actually.
Oh, wow.
I just saw the future of the field, and I realized that in office, I was working with my clients once a week because I just didn't have more time, and they were doing everything on their own, like with my videos anyways. And I was realizing, oh my God, this is crazy. Like, these people are fixing themselves, and actually my hands on them 9.5 times out of 10 was pointless. And they didn't even need me. And I started realizing that, and I'm like, well, that's pretty wild. And then because I'm working with military contractors, a lot of times they'd be like, okay, I've got to, go to a different military base in a different part of the world. I'll be back in 3 months. And I'd be like, okay, well, you got all your stuff, you know what to do. I helped teach you the why behind your pain, and you got all the videos. And then they would literally just get better and better and better. And I wouldn't even be working with them. No coaching calls, no Zoom calls. They just knew what they needed to do. And the videos were working, and the exercises were working. And so then I started thinking, okay, well, I can definitely monetize this in a different way where I can actually work with people, because these people I had at least worked with a few times in person. Mm-hmm. And then I started testing never working with the people, only meeting them online. And I started getting results where, some woman was in my hip lower back program and she had shoulder pain. So I sent her the shoulder module just to be nice. And 2 months later, she goes back to work as a paramedic in the UK, where she was off for 8 months and was expected not to come back until shoulder surgery. Mm-hmm. Now she's back to work, running again, and her shoulder and hip are great. And I was just like, this is wild.
Well, and that's the beauty of it too. Like, obviously monetize something like that, but you're also like scaling and helping more people than you could in
100%. Yeah, sure.
Wherever you're helping people, training.
Yeah. So. I seem to have this weird problem where I just don't really, okay, this sounds very trite and cheesy and cliche, but I don't really see the value in money, right? I don't know if it's because I grew up in a wealthy family and it was always there. I don't know. But for me, I have to. Yeah. And I got to frame it differently. And that's how I frame it. I say, okay, every single person I help obviously is going to give me a monetary, financial amount. Sure. And I just say, yeah, it's exactly that. The more people I just want to help as many people as I can. Maybe from my childhood, because like when it came to my shit, like nobody helped me, they tried to, but they just failed miserably. And so maybe that's what it is. And I just, exactly. I see scale of how much people I can help. And then, maybe my mom's, husband, who's a total financial business guy, was like, well, if you do that, have you thought about the financial, incentives behind it? And I'm like, oh yeah, sure. Like, I guess I'll just get rich doing what I love. And I guess that's kind of the, the dream of this passive income cliche, I guess.
Yeah. And, I'm right with you on there, just like my podcast. I have more value to this and feel like I'm helping more people than, the 20 or so clients I have in my gym that I'm just working 3 days a week now, and I love them to death, but right now I don't even accept any more clients. I put more worth in, scaling and getting the word out this way. So.
But also think about the education platform, like your 3 clients that you have. Think about how much knowledge they are able to obtain because of all of your podcasts. So it's like it's evergreen. It's something that would continue to just, your clients will walk in. Let's say they listen to this. It's been 58 minutes so far, and they listen to this and they walk in and they have all of the, let's say, air quotes, knowledge that I just presented. Mm-hmm. It's done. It's gone. Yeah. They listen to it. And every single one that you do, if they choose to listen to that, your clients just keep coming back more educated and better because of what you're also doing online. So the education part of the platform, as my buddy said it the best, he said, the reason I moved my company online is, he said, it would be impossible for me to give this much information to one client without charging them $1 million a month. It's impossible. But the internet allows it because people can do a lot on their own time. You don't have to speak with them for 59 minutes. You do this one time and every one of your clients can listen to it on their own time.
Exactly. Yeah. That's great. Love what you're doing.
Yeah, same thing, man. Same thing. I think what you're doing is great.
Yeah. Well, so David, how can my audience get a hold of you? Do you have a website or any social media links that you usually use that you can throw out there for them?
Yeah, for sure. So my website is, I'll tell you the confusing one, granttrainingsystems.com. But luckily I was smart enough to buy the domain unbreakableback.com. So that is much easier to memorize. So unbreakableback.com would be my website. It's got all my offers about me, a free call where you can chat with me about how I can help you. It's called the Learn More call. As you probably can tell from the last hour, I'm not much of a sales guy. I just like to talk. And then my Instagram handle is probably the other biggest one. I've got 24,000, and that's Rehab GTS. And GTS stands for Grant Training Systems. So Rehab GTS. And both, I would say those 2 platforms right now are probably the website and Instagram are the biggest I've got right now.
Okay, awesome. And my audience always know, and I say this every single time, but I always throw those links in the podcast description so they can just click on it too. So if you're listening, don't worry, you can go back and click right on there and get to David. So David, I just want to thank you so much for being on the show. This has just been awesome, and love what you're doing. I love doing my job, and this is just great getting the word out there. So appreciate it.
Yeah, no, it's been a great time. And like I said before the show started, man, I got some interesting guests I'll pitch you to. Yeah, because they're all, I think a lot of us really value what you're doing, right? Because, running a podcast is, we all listen to them, right? But we don't all do them. So I think there's, for the first time, mutual respect on both sides. If you think about like CNN and MSNBC, I think anybody has respect on the other end. People are there for themselves on both sides. And so I think, what you're doing, man, my hat's off to you. I think it's awesome. And I'm more than happy to be, 1 hour, 1 minute and 43 second part of it.
Awesome. Well, I can see your feet moving. I know you got the dancing feet.
Man. Yeah, I think people are waiting, right?
So, thanks once again, and we'll get you back on the show sooner than later.
Yeah, cool. Perfect, man. I'm always around.
All right. Thank you.